Let's move on now to line number 3 and say good morning to one of the reporters of the Labrador and also a photographer on staff up there. Good morning, Derek Montague. You're on the air.
Good morning, Patty. How are you?
Very well this morning. Thanks for taking me up on the invite to call the program.
Oh, no problem. By the way, you've been doing a great job. Very enjoyable listening to the show every morning.
Really appreciate those kind words, Derek. You were in attendance at the Labrador Independence or Self-Governance meeting that took place the other night. Give us your take on what went on.
A lot of people, and to be honest, including myself, were surprised with the large turnout. I think a lot of people were expecting and probably would have been happy with a dozen or 20. Of course, 40 showed up, pretty much doubling a lot of expectations. And it wasn't just a lot of the usual people that show up at these type of discussions or demonstrations or protests that you see in any community. You know, there's always the usual ones that are involved in this type of stuff. There was a lot of new faces and a lot of new names, and there was a lot of people that were passionate about forming some type of committee or working group to move an agenda forward once they get a consensus.
You've used the word passionate, and I think that's an appropriate one, but it also sometimes lends itself to referring to emotions as opposed to some of the details. Give us your take on some of the issues that were discussed. Was it all about being left behind, or was it some actual thoughts about how the future could be different? Because they're two distinctly different things in my mind.
Yeah, with this first meeting, it was definitely what I would call a preliminary discussion, and people went around in a circle, and that they gave their take, often an emotional take. Some of the main issues that popped up were some people weren't even talking about the past. Some people were talking about when it comes to future decisions concerning this province. A couple people mentioned, how is it possible for Labrador to get a fair shake when we're 27,000 against 500,000? And so some people felt that no matter what happened in the past, good, bad, or indifferent, that the future cannot be too bright for Labrador if so much of the population is in one part of the province and not in the mainland. And, of course, Muskrat Falls was brought up several times. Some people mentioned that it was a catalyst for them to get involved in this Labrador movement. You know, some people were quote-unquote separatists. Some people were using other terms like self-determination. But resources and Muskrat Falls were two of the main topics. People feel that the people in the room feel, by and large, that for years, for decades, the government has dictated what will happen with Labrador, what will come out of Labrador, and not enough is coming back in terms of respect or investment.
That's where I think, and I think this is stating the blatantly obvious, is that the view is that it's 27,000 people versus 500,000. Is, in your own opinion, Derek, and covering the news as you do, is that, once again, strictly your opinion, is that based in fact, or is that simply one of the emotional heartstring tugs that really is the catalyst as opposed to digging into the bare bones of investment dollars per capita and that kind of stuff?
That's a very good question, Patty. Somebody brought up, and there was a meeting a few weeks ago with Yvonne Jones. She was discussing the upcoming PUB hearings in July for the proposed rate increases for Labrador. And according to her numbers, she claimed that for every $8 taken out of Labrador, $1 is invested back in. Now, I haven't had a chance yet to find out where she got those numbers, but those numbers were brought up by a couple people again last night. They were at Yvonne Jones' meeting, and they threw out that number again, too. For every $8 out, $1 goes back in. How accurate are those numbers? I can't tell you. So that was one figure that was thrown out. But there wasn't a lot of financial figures thrown out in that meeting, though.
Now, of course, when it comes to the investment in, I wonder what that includes. Does that just talk about big picture stuff, whether it be roads and otherwise, or does that include schools and teachers, policing, and other government paid for stuff, as indicated by one of our emailers? Do you think, Derek, that there's going to be a voice welcomed inside of these conversations that takes the other side just for the purpose of illuminating the real information that's available? You know, to just justify that $8 out for $1 in, to really do the math, or do you think that person will be immediately rebuffed because of the emotion associated?
The meeting was quite inclusive. There was at least one dissenting voice that was in favor of sticking together as a province and trying to work together between Newfoundland and Labrador. And nobody, as of right now, the first meeting, every voice seemed to be welcome. Nobody was, there was no shouting, no yelling, no intense arguing back and forth. Everybody got whatever time they needed to go around in the circle and share their piece, whether they agreed or disagreed. That being said, by and large, there was a lot of favoritism towards the idea of separation or independence or self-governance, the different words that were used. But right now, from what I could see, is that nobody seemed to mind if there was a dissenting voice, because, like I said, there was one person who spoke, that a young lady who said that we should stick together as a province and try to work together.
Well, so what's next steps? I know you're going to try and form a committee, a working committee that's going to have a further look at it. Are there more meetings planned? What can we assume is going to happen in the near future?
There is more meetings planned. After the group of 40 took a break from the discussions, Denise Cole asked that, who was Denise and Jim Learning were the two people who kind of spearheaded and organized, even though they made it clear that they didn't consider themselves to be the leaders, but they did organize a meeting, and they asked that those who wanted to kind of come together and form a team for the long term to come back after the break. And out of the 40, about 30 came back to put their names down to be a part of whatever is going to be in the future for the group. And I think from what they said, the next plan would be to meet again. They're going to try. Somebody mentioned that Michael Martin, former MHA for the New Labrador Party from the 70s, is going to be back in Labrador soon, and they would like to have another meeting to try and coincide with his visit, so Mr. Martin could come in and speak to them.
Is that the same gentleman who designed the flag?
That's correct.
Okay. How important do you think, Derek, it is to have a leader or leaders at the front of this conversation? A lot of well-intentioned initiatives have gone by the wayside because the message got muddled in emotion, and there was not a leader to really take charge, pull in the reins, and head the group in the right direction. So if no one wants to be a leader, that could derail the conversation in and of itself, couldn't it?
That's a very good question, and right now the group says, of course, that they want this to be kind of a communal thing and a consensus thing. But you're right. I think that if this group moves forward, let's say hypothetically in a political direction, at some point there's going to have to be leaders or spokespersons at the very least, depending on the direction that they want to go. And I think at some point people will have to step up as leaders, most definitely. I think every group needs somebody to help organize and make sure that everybody's going in a certain direction. So I think you bring up a good point, and that's that's a question that crossed my mind too, is that moving forward, can everything stay as a open committee, or do they need to have one leader or more?
I certainly really appreciate your time this morning, Derek, and hopefully you take the opportunity as this conversation proceeds, as more meetings are held, as committees are formed. Maybe you can join us again on the show. I enjoyed the chat. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Patty.
All the best, Derek. Take care.
Bye.
Derek Montague is a reporter and photographer with the Labradorian newspaper, of course, in the Big Land.